everybody, welcome back to another video. So my name's Lou and carrying on with sorting the fish room out, getting it ready for some upgrades, just generally making quality of life a little bit easier for us and make it so that we can get some bigger ponds and bigger tanks in here. So today's job, as I mentioned in our last video, I'm going to be moving this 5-foot tank over on top of the other 5-foot tank that I set up in the last video. So basically this needs draining out. I need to catch all of these guys. I need to take all of the pebbles out and all of the sand, drain the tank out, move it, fill it back up again, scape it, and then put the fish in as well. So I will show you how I'm going to go about it, and hopefully we won't have any fish ending up on the floor or anything like that.
Alrighty then, so I've got to get all of the big bits of wood out. What I did is I just set up a big old poly box with some water siphoning out of it. So I cleared everything off the top of the tank, got the lid off, the air pump, all the rest of it. Kept the light and the filter running as long as I could, and then basically I just had to get the wood out so that it wasn't in the way when I was catching the fish. And then it was time to get my big net out and just basically start catching the fish. So I am a bit of an old hand at catching fish. A couple of years working in a chain fish shop will do that. The trick is kind of just to like wait for them to make a mistake. So once you're familiar with their body language and things, you kind of want the net to be, instead of chasing them, you want the net to be where they're swimming to. So you can use one end of the net to like spook them and then just quickly hook the other end of the net around and they'll just swim straight into the net. It becomes sort of second nature after a while. The Plecos did give me a right run around, especially the Hyperstomus species that are in here. And the two little rainbow cichlids as well were a right pain. You can just see me trying to get them out the corners here. Now obviously my big net is round, which is wonderful in ponds and things like that. It's great if you can get under the fish, but if you've got fish that are going in the corners, it's a right pain because they sort of cotton onto the fact that there's a gap there, and once they've done it a couple of times they know that they can get out. So this other net is obviously a rectangle.
Cool, so I've got most of the fish caught. There are one or two Plecos that are like mega on the flinch now that I can't get hold of. So what I'm going to do is, so I don't get really wet arms, because it's pointless, I'm going to drain the tank right the way down, and then take all of the sand and pebbles out once it's drained down. Otherwise, you know, it's 2 foot deep, there's absolutely no point in me getting my arms wet, because it needs moving. And yeah, everybody's looking pretty good. So I've got the younger of the two Mascareras there, and then the big fella's that one. Interestingly, it was the rainbow cichlids that were really difficult to catch. And the red tiger Martiguen's she's very feisty. Common Pleco wasn't too bad. Very pretty one. Very, very pretty. And yeah, we've got this unusual ancistrus spur. I imagine it's a Hoplogenis, just a really big one. She's got like spots on her dorsal, but she's very large. Compared to him, she's a pretty good size. Slightly different species, I suspect, to the usual brisk noses. There we go. So the tank is almost empty. Got about 6 inches of water left in it now. So a little bit of a way to go still, but I'm ready to start taking the pebbles and things out.
So just taking the pebbles out and popping them in this tub while still draining the tank. So I did sort of stir the substrate up a little bit, just trying to get as much muck out as possible. And then the way I get the sand out is I actually just use fish nets. So I used a sponge, scooped all to one end, and then that just makes it super easy to scoop out into a bucket. There we go. So, ready to move it, just draining the last inch or so out. Sometimes I'll use like airline or something, which actually I might go get a couple of those now. Airlines are really good for getting the last little bit out. I do also, it's back at home, but I do have a wet dry vacuum cleaner, which was like the best £40 I ever spent in the middle. Really, really useful for getting tanks empty really, really quick. But yeah, the Asian sun catfish keeps trying to jump, so I might pop a lid on these guys, but they've only got to really hang on for another like half hour. And then yeah, I sorted this corner out, ready for the worktop to go on top. Got a slightly different light for Phoenix, just because I wanted to use the other one for something else. And yeah, so worktop's going to go across the top here. That plug, I need to put something in it, but because I'm not going to be able to access that, but that'll be like an extension lead or something coming out of that one. Obviously it's got a bit of a drip loop on it. Everything's got drip loops and things for safety. Don't want to get electrocuted. So I'm going to go grab my very helpful lifter to help me lift it, and then hopefully in a minute I'll be able to show you a tank in this space. See if I can do a bit of a magic trick. Ooh. Alrighty then, there we go. So next we've got to get some water in it, get it nice and warm, get the sand and everything back in there, and hook the filter up. But I'm actually really pleased with what that looks like. Looks alright here. The rest of the fish room's a bit of a mess, but this is now giving us loads and loads of space so we can start getting things sorted. So yeah, I'm going to give it a wipe, pop the sand back in, give it some sort of scape, but most importantly just filling it back up, getting it to temperature, so that the fish have got somewhere nice and warm and filtered for the night. And then I suppose I can worry about what it looks like tomorrow. So I popped some sand in it, the sand that was already in it, which stayed nice and moist. And then just submerged this bubble bar across the bottom.
Yeah, I kind of want to use this like long air bar or something, because I really like the effect that it gives. I remember there was a active on YouTube a while ago that had bubbles coming up through pebbles. So I'm just gonna like basically pull them all in over the top there. So I don't know how much of it that you could actually hear, but basically you've got the long bubble bar all the way across the bottom of the tank under the sand. It's a very, very large bubble bar. It's like 3 foot long, and there's an input on each end of it, which I think is the ticket to this, because when I've tried this with air stones before, if one end's higher it doesn't really work. So yeah, I think because the air pump is really, really powerful, and I've attached it each end with a check valve, so it can't like lose any pressure. It's only going out through the air bar. I think that's kind of why this worked really well. And then I basically just stacked the pebbles up on top of it to make it look kind of like a hot spring. So hopefully this works out. Okie dokie then. So I've got the filter all hooked up. I've popped a couple of kettles full of hot water in here because I've only got a cold tap. And yeah, it's only half full just because it's starting to get a bit late in the day. I need to go back to my dinner, and I'm definitely flagging a little bit now after so much today. So yeah, hopefully you can hear me, but I'm just going to go grab the fish and pop them in now that it's nice and warm. And then tomorrow, once the water's warmed all the way up to like 26, 27 where it normally is, then I can top the rest of it up. But hopefully you can see the start of what I was sort of going for. So almost like a hot spring or something. It can be a little bit of a challenge when you've got so many tanks, you've done so many of them, to like come up with something a bit different. But I did want to use this air bar, and this is something I've tried lots of times. If you use like the long air stones, if one end is higher than the other, and you do it with a tank that's already full, the air obviously takes the easiest route out. So yeah, tomorrow I'm going to pop the wood in it, fill it back up, all the rest of it, but the most important thing right now is the filter is running, and there's cycled sand, cycled media, and it's the right temperature, so the fish can go in here and just hang out overnight, and then they'll get something a little bit more luxurious. And just to show you basically what I've done. So we now have another worktop over there, which obviously that's a big pile of stuff that I really need to sort out, but that wasn't there before. So there's a desk going across there, above that aroma tank. The FX6, I'm not the biggest fan of it being there. I might end up moving those tanks and having the FX like under there, so it's a little bit less in the way, but I do think that looks really cool. With the paludarium underneath with little phoenix, and the waterfall, and then up above will be the hot spring, which this tank will be filled up all the way. I'm not going to have it half full. So yeah, we've got a nice little desk area. Obviously I need to sort that out, but I was thinking of having this as like my packing area. And yeah, we have loads and loads of space over here now. So where this tank was is obviously just loads of stuff that I need to sort out. I've been able to empty the corners out. So yeah, the whole lot needs a good sweep and a good mop. And yeah, I was going to get some sort of drawers, or maybe just like sit and organise all of this stuff. This all needs sorting. And then in the next video I will show you what's going on with the discus tank. So I'm not done yet. Still got plenty of work to do to get this place how I'm imagining it in my head, but I'm really pleased with this today, because this end of the room has been driving me mad for ages, and I just feel like now it's starting to get a little bit more like how it's going to be. So I'm probably not going to paint the worktops, but I am going to give the breeze blocks and the bricks and stuff a lick of paint, and I'm going to pull that plastic wrap off the FX6 as well, so once that's all blacked out, I might even paint that white tank black as well, so once it's all blacked out it will look a lot smarter as well. So stay tuned for the next one. I'm just going to finish up with a little montage of me popping the fish in this tank. And then yeah, in the next video we'll keep going around and keep finishing off the tanks. Just keep making it look really, really good. I'll give you a clue, it's got something to do with that tank up there that doesn't have anything in it. So yeah, stay tuned for the next one, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye!